Soldiers in Vietnam were not in a rush to become door gunners. Compared to most other occupations, hanging partway out the door of a helicopter as a living target seemed like a bad career path to most. What's the lifespan of a door gunner? 5 minutes, or so said the popular legend at the time. While the real lifespan of a door gunner in Vietnam was longer than 5 minutes, within every legend is a kernel of truth, and being a door gunner meant your machine gun was the only thing between you and the enemy. But those odds never stopped Gary Wetzel. It was January 8, 1968, and then PFC Gary G. Wetzel was on duty and on board a helicopter near Ap Dong An in the Republic of Vietnam. According to his interview from the Library of Congress Veterans History Project, they were on an eagle flight, named because of how they'd fly over an area waiting to catch something happening on the ground, or something looking off, and then react to it. They had already made a few stops, dropping off their deadly cargo of 7 or 8 troops, scanning the area, scooping them up again, and leaving. Nothing had happened so far, until the first bad omen reared its head. While grounded at an old French fort to meet with the ground commander, a group of Australian helicopters joined them, a number of them shot nearly to pieces. After that, decisions were made by the higher-ups, and Wetzel was back on the helicopter as part of an insertion force of both American and Australian choppers. A short time later, Wetzel's helicopter was flying over the area of the airstrike, getting ready to open up its doors and let the machine gun rip. In his interview with the Library of Congress, Wetzel described the job of the door gunner as laying down enough covering fire that enemies can't fire back at you or your brothers in arms. You try and keep Charlie's head down to eliminate, casualties as much as you can. And anyone with any common sense, you hear a bang, bang, bang? You're not going to stick your head up and look, you're going to duck. Wetzel was ready to do his job, but nobody was prepared for what happened next. The standard procedure for a mission like this was to have more than one set of gunships closely staggered so they could cover each other. You can imagine how thick the tension felt in the hot Vietnamese air when Wetzel's helicopter was already starting to drop into the treetops, committing to the fight, and their backup was a quarter-mile behind them. Wetzel states that this was the moment he realized the situation was a big goddamn mistake. Now 15, 20 feet off the ground, a barrage of gunfire immediately erupted as numerous Viet Cong stood up from their hiding places. Wetzel described it feeling like there must have been 8 million of them stood up. In an instant, they were caught in a hailstorm of gunfire. And then came the rocket-propelled grenade. From ahead and left of the helicopter, the RPG made a direct hit, blowing out the front of the ship. What Wetzel did afterward was extraordinary, but the scenario he and the rest of the crew found themselves in was, unfortunately, very common.